I don't consider it a really big story, but I would walk by here every day, and we had just moved down the street, and some of our kids were up at the middle school up the road, so we would walk by, and my friend Kathy Kitts, who worked here at the time, told me that they were starting the process of trying to find property for the elementary school. And one day I walked by, and there was a for sale sign, a large for sale sign, but it hadn't been set up yet. So I quickly called Kathy and told her she was going to call all the people she needed to call, and within the day they had a whole crew here to walk the property and take a look at it and pray over the soon-to-be new elementary school campus.
So she called me, and I immediately turned around and called our local friendly realtor here, and he found out what the place was being sold for, which we couldn't believe, and we called the board together, and the board got quite excited about the possibility of moving an elementary school up here and from down below, and yeah, we all came out with Peter Van Heusen too, and the board, and we walked the whole property. We prayed over it, and we bought it.
Yeah, just from a strict financial, if you're just looking at it from a business plan standpoint, because the property was, over 10 acres and two different titles, and having that arm on access from 228th, we knew that we could build the elementary campus, because I was involved with the building of this campus that we stand on now too. So the whole design was built for why is it so close to the road and everything, with the mindset that it enabled you to, for our future 20 years later.
With that arm.
With that arm, yeah. But also just utilize the space as best as possible so that you can utilize the future land. You won't find other properties that have that. It was a complete anomaly in trying to explain why it was there. Not only the arm, but the size of it in itself, right?
So we have to go back in time to 2005 when the middle school was built. It was an addition to the high school. So the original design was 12 rooms, and at that time we had 8 homerooms. So it seemed like we had a lot of classroom space. So for 8 homerooms, we had 3 specialty teachers. That left 1 room empty. And at that point, it was actually a science lab that was dedicated for science and other things that could happen during the week in the schedule. But what the design was for homerooms to be able to go down to the lab to do science and then come back to their classroom. So it was great to have space. But that was 2007, 2006, 2007. And now here we are, 2024, and we're 4-track now. We've got 4 homerooms of every grade. We have the specialty areas. We've got more learning support services needed. We also, back in the time of the beginning, shared some common spaces with high school. We had a band room that we shared, and our kids would go there for band. Well, the high school's gotten bigger, and now we don't have the ability to use their rooms anymore. We were able to use the library more. We are able to go down for library class and work there. And now with the high school expanding, we've been forced to not be able to go down there as much. So those common spaces are done. And so now we're doing band in a classroom, which isn't appropriate for the amount of music and the amount of noise level that happens in there. We've got students having to put on headphones and ear protection because it just seems to be too noisy. Another area is in our applied design skills and technology, where in the last 6 years, the ministry requires us to do modules in all kinds of interesting things. And one such area is woodworking. And we don't have access to a woodwork shop in the high school. That's busy all the time. So we've had to get creative, and we've had to put woodworking in our hallways. So between classes, there's sometimes kids can't walk between the hallways because we have woodworking going on. You'll see some images in our hallways. We have kids working just at tables all over the place in the hallways. Well, we'll have some design spaces where kids could actually get behind a door and be able to work with adults and to do project work there. Being parked behind the elementary school is really going to facilitate transitions for grade 5s coming to grade 6 in the middle school campus. It's going to allow us in the middle school to have more collaboration with the elementary, to allow our older kids to do some buddy projects with younger kids in the elementary. just having that close proximity and that safe area where they're just walking across a field, they're not having to walk down a street, they're not having to play in traffic, but it'll create a much safer and secure environment for our kids.
Another reason for a new middle school build is we have overcrowded spaces. So in our learning support department, we have rooms that kids can work in, but as you can see, they're often overcrowded. We have up to 6 or 7 or more kids working with a teacher, and there's just not a lot of space. And so we would love there to be more space for these breakout rooms for kids to learn in.
So you can see in the background here, we're in the high school space, the design lab. So we actually don't have a space that we can call home. So we are sharing, and this term actually is nice because the high school is not using this space when we can come in here and use the space for our ADST projects of aviation. So yeah, it's great to have it, but we'd love to have our own space.
One addition we've put into our schedule this year is what we call X Block, where we try to accommodate all the learning needs of our students by having areas where there can be breakout rooms, where there can be some interventions when it comes to bringing them up in numeracy and literacy, or even challenging them to exceed and to extend their numeracy and literacy. But we have no room. And as you can see, we've got a group just working in the offices and the conference rooms in our school right now.
Another example of our school being overcrowded is in our social emotional learning spaces. I'm the youth care worker, my name's Lauren, and in here we can have groups of about 3, but any more than that it gets a little bit overcrowded and we have to find a new space. So either kick Mr. Glazer out of his room or another teacher out of their rooms in order to run those groups. A new middle school would help us have more space to run groups where we can target social emotional learning needs and support our students better.
One of the features in the new design of the new building will be that every floor will have the ability for 2 rooms to be converted into one big area so that combined classes can have a good place to work and not in the middle of the hallway.
In planning a new middle school, we had some very specific requirements that we were looking for to allow us to meet the middle school specific programming both now and for years to come. To begin with, we wanted to have an appropriate number of classrooms to allow each grade to gather together. And in looking at that, we landed on a decision to have 3 levels. It was the most economical to build 3-story classroom to allow each grade to have their own level to do things. We wanted a gym space that could allow for the way middle school runs athletics, in which generally 2 games run at the same time. So we came to the conclusion that we needed a gym, a full-size gym, basically the same size as our current high school gym. Current middle school programming allows many opportunities for kids to explore different learning opportunities, and for that reason we've created a purpose-built music room, a foods room, an arts room, and some STEM spaces that are dedicated for those kind of spaces. But gathering together both like as a community for community building and learning is an essential part of our programming. And for that reason, we've kind of created a central focus of the school. It's an area we call the learning stairs. It's a central gathering point that connects the school together. It can operate independently, but also you can open up the doors to the music room to allow for simple setup for chapels and concert performances. Overall, in our design, we were able to take some of the best practices and best thinking in school design and construction techniques to come up with the plan that we have that's best current value, as well as allow us the flexibility to meet our current and future middle school program.
So I support this school project primarily because we lack capacity right now. And I also believe in Christian education, and if we can build a great facility to allow for better education, have a better learning experience, then I'm all for that. And I believe that right now we have the momentum that we need to do this project. We have a great project team, great team with the school. There's support from the community. So I think now's the time. We have the momentum. I have confidence in our building budget primarily because we just built a school with the addition onto the elementary school. And we can use those numbers along with the numbers that we have from our construction management company, Victory Construction. They've been doing this for years. So our past experience along with their numbers, along with a good design that we've spent the time to actually price, gives me the confidence that we have a good construction budget. I think you have to, when considering this project, I think you have to look ahead 5, 10, even 20 years from now. If I look at the existing school that was built many, many years ago, you could never regret that decision. I think building a new Christian school is something that, again, 20 years from now, we will never regret doing this. It's the right size, it's the right time to build the school, and I think we have the right team to do it right now.
I think now is the time to build, given the trajectory of prices over the last 4 years. We've seen rapid increases. There's some market stabilization coming now. We've seen when we've gone up for budget pricing to the trades to ensure our budget is accurate, that there's a willingness and a gap in the industry for work now for certain aspects. And we feel that with these numbers being brought out from these trades, that our budget is accurate. I think given the industry experience of the team, the experience that we had building the elementary school expansion, the cohesiveness, the fact that everybody is there to move this project forward is a benefit to the school and community as a whole. I feel that the best way to manage the cost is obviously manage the design. As long as we have a design that we're content with, we can always control the cost to meet that. I think a lot of thought has gone into the design of this building, whether it's the 3 stories for the grade splits, whether the fact that it's on the same property as the elementary school, so there's a cohesiveness to the middle school, and also the fact that we have the land already, so we've minimized the cost base of any land for the future. I think there's 2 parts to it. I think looking at the future, I think it's something that the school community needs. It'll be something to celebrate we built together, but I think importantly we have to look at the past. I think we have to look at the sacrifices that were made by the families before my generation to build the school, to build the community, to make the decisions to purchase excess land, to have accesses like the Panhandle, so that when this decision came, that it wasn't a very difficult decision because we had the parts already in place. I think there's a number of factors that are important to consider. I think LCS provides one of the higher levels of education in the Lower Mainland. So there is a demand, there is a requirement, obviously we hear from the staff, for having up-to-date facilities. We hear from the community that people want community, and there's no better way to celebrate community than to build something new and celebrate the accomplishment when it's completed. I think it's important for everybody to be aware that the team on this project has one main goal, and that is to build a middle school on time and on budget.
So I've been at Langley Christian for quite a long time, and so I've seen the change of the use of our buildings and the fact that we've grown so much that we are using every single space. In fact, rooms that used to be closets are now offices, and we don't even have any closets because we're so full. And one of the reasons I've been privileged to see such a change in growth here at Langley Christian is because not only have I been here 19 years as a staff member, I also attended Langley Christian School K-12 as a student. And so I was part of the first grad class, so the first class that moved into the new high school. And then as a teacher, was the first to move into this new middle school. And so it's been really cool to see the growth and the change here at LCS. And also my family has been longtime supporters. My dad attended Langley Christian back when he was in elementary school. My grandpa sold cows to help support the school budget. And now I teach here, I went here, my nieces and nephews go here. And so there's been generations of families that have been supporting this school. And now we have all these new families that we are inviting to be a part of that giving as well.
Langley Christian is just a really inclusive place for our family. We find the environment so welcoming for our kids and for us as the parents. I feel like we all go to LCS and we're all a part of this community, and we just love it here. So we have supported LCS for decades because we believe in Christ-centered education. And I feel that the experience here actually goes far beyond academics. And there's just a whole child support here. And as a former student here, I can say that I felt cared for by the teachers that educated me. And it was just an experience that was beyond learning. It was staff that cared about me. And I know my parents felt so supported in sending us here, and now sending our kids here, I feel that too. I feel really supported by the staff and the teachers and the other families that are on this journey with us. So I'm so thankful for those who gave so generously in the past, because we wouldn't have the school that we have today if others hadn't been so generous. And I personally know a lot of families who gave of their time and of themselves when I was here as a student, and I was sort of aware of it at that point, and now I really see it. And I kind of think of it as a baton that has been passed on to us now, and it's our job to serve and give so that our kids can have the same experience and look back in 20 years when hopefully they're sending their kids here, and we just have this beautiful cycle that moves forward where we all can share in this exciting journey. You know, LCS can grow and change in some ways, but stay the same. And that is my hope as well, that this school grows and we make room for more, but we stay true to who we are as a school. And I believe that we'll do that because we have a strong community here. So basically, we're just letting more people in to join that community and not sacrificing on our values. We are only going to add to the momentum of this school and stay true to who we are as God's people.
Well, our children attended LCS from kindergarten to grade 12, and our overall experience was excellent. The care that the teachers and staff gave to our family was wonderful over the years. And that's evident today as 3 of our grandchildren come to this school now. And teaching today can be very difficult. And LCS gave our children a safe place to be. They nurtured them spiritually, mentally, and physically, and we really did appreciate that all those years. So,
you know, I've been in the school, I would say almost 30 years now. We started with building I was on the boards, on building committees. We built houses at one time to raise money for the school. And we worked on doing the golf tournament to raise funding and exposure, marketing. And the school keeps on growing, and we need to keep on growing the school. We did the shop years ago, and we bought extra land to give opportunities to other Christians in our community. Langley keeps on growing, and with that growth, we need to share our resources and the betterment of our society for Christians, because these kids, it's unbelievable watching these kids grow. So one of my very favorite things I like doing is going to the graduation and hearing dreams from children. And when you get to hear these dreams from children and you wonder what they look like 5, 6, 10 years out, and how these kids' dreams have changed or where they've gone in life, it's wonderful. And I really am appreciative of all leadership and the teachers that have brought that on, and watching these kids grow to go either to Trinity or other universities to help us out in society is just amazing. I would like to encourage our society in general, especially the membership and the next generation that is in the school, the businesses, whether to give back to the school, to give back to Christian education, to give back to great leadership, because it does pay off. It pays off in the next generation of kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, and you know, it is the best thing you can ever see and invest in. So I would always encourage everybody to give as much as they can.
As we wrap up tonight's presentation, I'm reflecting on decades of God's faithfulness to this school. As the head of schools, I'm excited to see how God has led us to this point today. It's inspiring to hear the stories of people here at Langley Christian who had a vision for these properties, a pre-K through grade 12 family of schools on a single route. Much more important to who I am as the head of school in my day job is that I am the parent of 3 children, one of whom graduated from Langley Christian in 2022, who counts as one of his life's greatest blessings to have graduated from this school and having been launched well from this community into post-secondary as a confident disciple of Jesus. But prior to 2014, this school was struggling with growth. We had a long waiting list. At that time, my wife Emily and I had the opportunity to enroll our children here because of bold decisions. We were looking for a school that was reliable, dependable, a place we could trust our children for the more than 30 hours a week that they spend at school. An incredible investment. We wanted our kids in relationships with mentors and teachers who shared our values, who placed an emphasis on Christian education and a biblical way of thinking about the world. This place would not have existed if not for the sacrifices and vision of people generations ago. These buildings would not be here if not for their sacrifices and their efforts. People who gave up vacations, people who delayed the purchase of a new car, or went without something because supporting Christian education was a value and a priority for them. We're thankful for them. But now it's our turn for today and tomorrow's students. So we're asking you tonight to carefully consider the board's resolution, but also to prayerfully consider how you might support an ambitious capital campaign that will ensure a strong, reliable, independent Christian school alternative that is viable for generations to come in this community. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And we hope we'll answer all of your questions.